Okay, we're sitting here with Dr. MhaAtma Khalsa, who is the owner and chiropractor at Khalsa Chiropractic. And he recently installed I think a lot of solar panels on the roof of his office. It's a freestanding building. And we're just going to ask him a few questions, and well, maybe Dr. MhaAtma would like to introduce himself again.
I'm Dr. MhaAtma Khalsa, and I've been a chiropractor for 35 years and been working here in this office for almost all that time, and bought the building in the late 90s, 15 years ago, and a few years ago decided that we needed to switch to solar, so we did.
So I wanted to ask you a few questions, Dr. MhaAtma, and what made you decide to put up solar power?
Well, the most obvious answer is, in the long run, as an investment, to save money on electricity. But the main reason is because I wanted to do my part to reduce my carbon footprint and be a part of the solution of switching over to renewable energy. And the best way to do that is to actually do it. And since I could do it, I decided that I should do it.
Okay. Was the process difficult?
Yes and no. One of my patients has a solar company, and so I enlisted him to do it, and he laid out a really good proposal. I had gotten a proposal a couple years before from another solar company that said it was not feasible, but in the interim I think they improved the technology and a different approach, and this patient said, of course it's feasible, we can do it. We have a flat roof, so we can install solar panels, freestanding at an angle into the sun, and so we engaged in the project. The difficult part was we found we had to rewire our whole building to meet the new codes of the Department of Water and Power, but that was a blessing in disguise, even though it involved more expense because it really needed doing anyway. So we now have our building, which is a small 3,500 square foot professional building with 3 offices. Ours is one of them. We have our building up to code and with a much more safe and efficient electrical wiring system, and then we also have it powered by solar.
Okay, thanks. What are some of the pros and cons that you've encountered?
The downside is expense. I know there are programs where you can lease solar and not have to put out any money, but in our case we had to put out a fair amount of money, and the return on our investment will be longer than we anticipated because of the extra electrical wiring and some extra expenses which were unique to our situation. But the pros financially are that there are tax benefits, write-offs, and federal tax credits, and DWP in our area, the LA Department of Water and Power had some tax credits. And just the biggest pro is being a part of the solution to switch over from fossil fuels to, and a lot of Los Angeles's electricity comes from burning coal in Utah and other places, to switch over from fossil fuels to solar, and it's got to start somewhere. So the more people that do that, the better. And so in having the satisfaction of knowing that we're making a difference, even a small difference, and putting our money where our mouth is, literally, towards having a sustainable future and not destroying the future for our grandchildren with impending climate change.
Awesome. And finally, what do you think the situation of solar power will be in the future of society?
If society survives, it'll be solar powered. If it doesn't, it won't be. But solar power is and wind power a lot, and maybe tide power, but chiefly solar power is the way to go. And I just this morning listened to an interview with the former Prime Minister of Japan, who was the Prime Minister during the Fukushima meltdown, who was a very, very pro-nuclear politician. And while he was still in office, he switched over to being entirely anti-nuclear. And his answer was that we don't have to go back to fossil fuels. We can power Japan with solar power, and we're starting it. But there's so much potential there if we really get serious about it and quit messing around with subsidies to fossil fuel companies in the billions of dollars and halfway measures. But if we really get focused and do what we need to do, we can just transform the world with solar power. It just takes intent and determination and resourcefulness.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Dr. Khalsa.
Okay, you're welcome.